Thank you, Pete. So one of the things we were tasked with in this, at the end of my class, our final assignment was we were to bring out the main lesson or truth or something that we were left with from 30 weeks. And I forget how many books we read. And, as I sat and thought about that, the one thing that came out was that I now believe that I live in a world of infinite possibilities. And in the quantum world, we call that superposition, where an entity exists as a wave, and that wave can be anywhere, go anywhere, and it is not a particle until something observes it and decides what it is. And observation is not always with looking. It may exist next to something, but you're in superposition. And that has really expanded my world, knowing that at any given moment, there are infinite possibilities. And so I lived for many years in a paradigm that there is life and that often you might be between a rock and a hard place. And what this last 30 weeks has taught me is there is no rock and a hard place, because a rock and a hard place is between two places. There are infinite places to be, infinite positions to decide on. And that has set me free, because I think one of the most painful places to be is stuck in what you think are limited choices or one choice. You think only one thing is happening, and yet in life we always have choice. Even if you can't change a situation, you can always change how you think about it. And then there are unlimited thoughts about that particular thing. And you can decide to think that you are in a terrible situation and life is devastatingly terrible, or you can choose that you have power and that there is something about your gifts or what you've been given that will allow you to experience that thing as something other than devastating, which is freedom to me. So since I've written that paper, something else has come up for me. Going through these 30 weeks and reading some highly scientific books and articles, and then also reading some things that were deeply philosophical and spiritual, I realized that for many, many years, and many of us do this, and it is probably part of our humanity, is that we want comfort zones, and we live in comfort zones, and we express and live in comfort zones. And first of all, the brain likes comfort zones because it has that figured out, and it knows how to take care of you physically, mentally, emotionally. It knows what to do when you are in your comfort zone. When we get out of our comfort zones, then everything goes haywire. Your hormones are doing different things. Your mind is doing different things. Your heartbeat might be faster. Your brain is trying to calculate what's going on. You know how you're on your GPS and you don't do what the GPS tells you, and it starts saying recalculate, 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 recalculate. That's what your brain is doing in nanoseconds, trying to get you into homeostasis because it needs to preserve life. That's what the brain's job is to do, is to preserve life. And so it has to figure out how to keep you happy and healthy and peaceful in whatever situation is happening. So this 30 weeks has set me free from that, being in my comfort zone, and then labeling being out of my comfort zone as an uncomfortable place to be. So now I'm living not in a zone. There's no box. I don't have to think outside the box because there is no box. You only have to think outside of the box if you've created a box for yourself. about how you think or what your world is like. So everything's open, and I'm comfortable there now. So that has seeped into a lot of different areas of my life. So now I'm doing things that I hadn't done in years, or discovering things that I like to do now that I didn't want to do before. And it's fun. And I realize now that I like investigating, and I like thinking about the world, and I like thinking about the quantum world. I like thinking and contemplating consciousness. I love being in debate with people. Not debate, but discourse with people about that. And I may have said this before, but that's probably the thing I'm going to miss the most, is being in conversation with people about principles, theories, postulations, scientific testing and what it might mean, hearing things from people that I never thought before, and not having any judgment about that, only being fascinated and curious about where they got that from. Where did that line of thinking come from? And what are you going to do with that? What does that mean to you? I hear so many times people say, I want to be with like-minded people. And that's fine. It's nice to have conversation with people who think like we do. What I value probably just as much now, if not more, is being in conversation with people who don't think like I do. Because as long as I'm with people that I think like, I don't learn anything. And I get comfortable in what I think and what I believe. And then I'm not tested, and so it doesn't make me think about why I believe what I believe, or why I think what I think. And then it keeps me in this box. It keeps me in a place where I think they are other than me because they think differently than me. And then they get to be a different entity than I am. I get to other them. I get to judge them. I get to decide, and then I start to make assumptions about who they are and what's the rest of their life based upon that one thing they might think or that they said. And that's why I think we have a world of trouble, not just in this nation, but around the globe right now. Because we have assigned characteristics, character. We think we know people based upon one or two things they may have said. And depending on where you heard that from or where you read that, it might not be true. It might have been taken out of context. It might have been changed, because that has happened. And so it takes an incredible amount of openness and discernment now, I think, to navigate this world and not put people or yourself in boxes. I have found in this 30 weeks a lot of freedom in letting go of all of that. I think the other reason why we like being in a place where we think we have it all figured out is that then we don't have to, it doesn't rattle our world. It doesn't shake your cage. It doesn't disrupt our paradigm. And so it's easy to get dug in and to start to feel like you got it all, again, figured out. And I have found my biggest and hardest lessons have happened when I thought I had something figured out. And really, through this study of advanced consciousness, we really only have figured out what's happening now. Because a moment from now, everything changes, everything shifts. The world is not the same in the next moment as it was right now. It never is, because everything changes. Everything shifts. So if we stay dug in and we continue to think we know what all of this is, then we don't learn anything and we don't evolve. And they say, there is no standing still, so if you're not moving forward, you're probably regressing. And the world is passing us by, which in some moments is not a bad thing, to let the world pass you by. But I think it takes a lot of self-awareness and trust in the moment. And for me, trust in what underlies everything, which is God, and to stay in this place of freedom. Because I know, I even think that God evolves as we evolve, because if God is everything and the world is not staying the same, then perhaps God is evolving as well, because if God is all there is and all there is moving, then God's moving too. But what I do know is that God never fails. That part never changes. And so it's okay now for the world to change in every moment, because I don't have to worry about that. I know that love always wins, no matter what the circumstances look like, because it's never failed. And I don't believe it ever will fail. So I can always count on that. So I'm not disturbed by what happens outside of me. So how comfortable are you? And how much do you need things to be figured out in order for you to be comfortable? And do you need to be comfortable, or can you just be free? Now I find I don't even think about comfort. So for instance, I used to not get in my pool until the pool water was 90 degrees. And now that in this house that we're in now, we don't have a heater on the pool. So we haven't hit 100 degrees yet. So the chances of the water being 90 degrees is slim to none. It hadn't even gotten above 85 yet. So I decided I'm not waiting till July to get in the pool. So I got in the pool with the water at 80 degrees, which was huge for me. 10 degrees is a lot in temperature, especially water. For me, because I don't like cold water. This thing about cold plunging and about doing a cold shower, I did that for a bit, but it took a lot of mental work for me to do that. And when I decided that I was done with that, I was done with that. I haven't done it in like 2-3 years, to stand in a cold shower for a minute. It was torture. But I did it because people were doing it and I wanted to try it. I didn't want to say, I'm not going to do that. And I figured, how bad can it be? Well, it was bad. And then I think I did it for about 3 weeks and I was done. So getting in the pool at 80 degrees was huge for me. But I put a toe in the first time, and then I got a foot in, then the other foot came in, and I stood there and I did this, and all kinds of language was coming out of my mouth. Why am I thinking of this? I think I jumped out and got out of the water. Oh, the 2 feet I had in. And then I got back and I stood in the water again. I'm like, oh God, now why is this important? Why am I doing this? Okay, we really want to get in the water. I don't want to wait till July. Okay, so I'm getting in the pool. We're doing this. Okay, I'm having this conversation, standing on the first step, getting in the pool. And then I realized this is going to be torture if I do this. It's going to take me 5 days to get in if I go in at this rate. And then finally I just plunged in. And there was all kind of language and stuff when I came up. Because it was cold. Oh my God, it was cold. But then I stayed in, and now I was in this morning. It was 84 degrees, and that was fine. And I worked out. And I figured, if I could do that, then maybe I could push that boundary and maybe I could be in the pool at less than 80 degrees. Why not? Why not? Yeah. But just that one act of being able to get in the water 10 degrees less than I was comfortable at doing before set me free. One act can do that for you. And I was uncomfortable for a few seconds when I got in the water. And then I just figured out, I just keep moving, just work out and do that. And then for a time I did sit, and there's one area of the pool where there's just like a little area where you can just sit and be kind of halfway in the water. And I sat for a little while. The sun was out and the sun was on me, and I thought, okay, now look what you're doing. Look at this. And so I'm blasting out another boundary I had set for myself. And then that gives me courage to try other things, because I figure I may only be uncomfortable for a few seconds. And then I feel at home. And maybe those few seconds will just be a second where I'm thinking about how uncomfortable it's going to be, and I'm not even in it yet. Because we have stories about what things are going to be like before we get into them. And usually that stops us from doing it, because that's what's always stopped me from doing things. That my mind would spiral before I'm ever in the thing I said I'm going to do. So now I try not to have stories about something I haven't even tried, because I don't know yet. And then you can set yourself free. And then I know I'm going to be okay. It's just cold water, and if I don't like it, I'll never do it again. So what kind of things do you stop yourself from doing or trying? Because you think, I'm going to be uncomfortable. I don't know what I'm going to say. How are people going to react to me? What are they going to think? What am I going to think about me? What if they don't like me anymore? What if they do like me? Because sometimes that's a problem. If we have problems accepting love from people, then sometimes we don't want to get into a friendship or a relationship, because you figure, well, I don't know how it's going to go, and how's that going to make me feel? And then what do I have to do? Are they going to ask for something? I don't want to give that thing. Oh my gosh. And then we spiral down about something that could be possibly wonderful. And we don't move forward. How many comfort zones do you have? And do you have a different one for your financial life than you do for your relationships? Do you have a comfort zone for your body? And another one for your mind, what you'll accept? So maybe you think of yourself as highly intelligent and that you can take in any kind of information and do well with it, but you don't feel physically free. What kind of zones do you have? I had comfort zones with God, where I would trust God with some things, but not other things. I'll trust with relationships with God, and I'll take that kind of guidance from God about relationships, but you can't have my financial life. Okay, what's that about? But I was there. Do you have comfort zones with God? You can have this thing in my life, but not this other thing. I'll handle this other thing because I'm sure I can do it better than you can, God. I've been there too.
So how's that working for you?
It didn't work. Didn't work at all. I think if you can believe in superposition, in infinite possibilities, and that those infinite possibilities are God, or from God, or of God, then you can be in any possibility and be okay. There is no black and white. There are shades of everything everywhere in the universe and in our experience. I think most of our fear comes from thinking that there are only two choices, good or bad. And that's where the judgment comes from. We judge it as good or bad, so you figure, well, if I choose this thing, then that has to be the good thing for me and the other thing is bad. Well, maybe not. Sometimes a choice may be gradations of challenging. Anybody ever see that movie, Sophie's Choice? She has to decide which of her children to send to the death chamber. Impossible situation, you would think, but she's got to make a choice, or they all die. I think that was the third choice. And can you believe that out of those two choices, or the three choices, that God was in the midst of all of that? Viktor Frankl said that during the Holocaust there was choice as to how to experience this. And he was able to keep his dignity. And he knew that what they couldn't take from him was his soul. That was his paradigm for life that allowed him to be in a horrific situation and still find his equanimity. Something to hold on to, something that anchored him and allowed him to navigate something that probably all of us would choose never to navigate. He navigated with grace. So do you have a paradigm for life that allows you to be free in the world? No boxes, no zones. Living full out, whatever that might mean to you. I'm discovering what living full out now means to me in every moment. And that's exciting because that means that I am the only one who gets to choose what happens now. I is my God self, my higher self, whatever you want to call it. And then I know I am protected or guided, probably guided, not protected. I don't need protection like I thought I needed protection years ago. Because, like I affirmed earlier at the beginning of service, all is well. Because all is God. And all is good. And I think there's tremendous freedom in that.
Just in existing itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Just being here in the moment, appreciating the moment for the moment exactly as it is, not judging, not cursing it, not being afraid of it, not judging yourself, not being afraid of yourself, not being afraid of the next moment. Man, I spent so much of my life thinking, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What if this is wrong? It's not wrong, it's just different. And if you don't like plan A, you go to plan B. You don't like plan B, you go to plan C. You don't like plan C, you go to plan D. And you run out of alphabet letters and you make up a new alphabet. Or you go to numbers, or you stop counting. You just keep choosing. Just keep choosing the next moment. So whatever you are now, you don't have to be in the next breath. How freeing is that? Because most people just want us to show up so they can figure out who they are. And they can be comfortable. We're not here to make other people comfortable. We are here to live our lives full out. And everybody else gets to figure out how they live full out. And that means they get to figure out how they deal with you and your brilliance and magnificence in the moment. That's for them to work on. And you just get to be free and enjoy and learn and discover what's happening. We live in a world of discovery.
I thank unity for that, for me.
Yeah,
That's what
I do
it did
too.
for me. That's what it did for me. It just freed.
You're part of a thinking philosophy.
Thank you.
Figure out what you want. If you're not getting what you want now, figure out what you do want or may want that's different from now and get that in the next second. How freeing is that? Unless you're afraid of it. And there's nothing to fear. But fear only comes in if you don't trust. If you don't trust in what's happening, what undergirds the world or contains the world without having a circumference. That's what God is. It is the container for all without there being walls. And there's no judgment coming from there. The only judgment can come from us. Good or bad, nice, not nice. Was that kind or unkind? Oh my God, can we not go there again? It just is. It just is. And meaning comes from us. The brain wants meaning because then it can do all its calculations. And part of life is setting the brain free to say, I am in charge. I, as my God self, I, as my higher self, I am in charge, and I get to tell you, the brain, the mind, what this is. And to continue to say, it's all good. It's all good. Calm down, brain. Calm down, mind. It's all good. It's all good. I've been obsessed lately with memes on social media about people who go on safaris and they want to walk amongst the silverback gorillas. And so they're with guides and they have on masks. And I keep thinking, why do you want to be in yeah. I mean, I'm feeling free. I'm not feeling that free. I'm not going to spend time with a silverback gorilla. I am not that free because I have the freedom to choose not to be around an animal that is 1,000 times stronger than I am in close proximity. So I am that free. I do know that. But so I'm watching these folks, and so the guides tell them the thing to do is just be submissive and don't look them in the eye. I don't want to be in a room with something where I can't look them in the eye. Not doing that. So they're all doing this, crouched around, and the silverback gorilla is just running around, pushing people out of the way. There was one video where they took one guy by the feet and dragged him across the grass, and everybody's just kind of watching, and you can hear people kind of, screaming on a low frequency, and they're trying to get away from the gorillas, and and they're all having fun, and there was this one guy he's standing there, he's kind of sitting on a rock, and there's probably 4 or 5 gorillas, a mother gorilla and her babies, 3 babies behind him. And first, I think we all should know that you don't mess with a mother anything and her babies. So here he is sitting, crouching on this rock, trying to be submissive, with the mother who's probably 4 times his size and her babies, and he's sitting there, and people are filming him from the front, and he's sitting there going, oh my God, they're behind me. Like, what's He's having a good time. And I think, how crazy is that? And I wonder how free he feels. Maybe that was entirely free for him, and being able to do that and be amongst the silverbacks and run around crouching and being submissive around an animal that could probably end your life. I guess he didn't look in their mouths and see what their teeth look like. They're quite impressive teeth. And they do eat meat from time to time, yes. And so I watch this and I see sometimes what people want to do in their lives. And that's what you feel free to do. Be free to do that. And I'm happy to watch videos of you running around in the forest with silverback gorillas. Some of us have to go that far. Some of us want to do that. And that's fine, I guess. Whatever floats your boat, I figure. Whatever you need to do. Whatever makes you feel free. Whatever helps you have another experience of life. Do what you need to do, unapologetically. Because life, I believe, is here for us to be free, and then we can have the confidence of something that undergirds, surrounds, protects, moves through, and governs everything. And I guess you can be in company with a silverback gorilla and feel wonderful. I imagine someone can do that. And that's a peak experience for you. And I guess you can do that knowing that all is well, even if I get eaten on this afternoon.
Yeah, because right after the experience, it's over. And then, you have to try to experience something else, right? Because the thrill.
Maybe. Do you need another peak experience after that?
Yeah, you're kind of like, okay.
What's better than a silverback? I don't know. Maybe go walk around with tigers in the forest. I don't know.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah, it's crazy how it just.
I think life itself is my peak experience. I have enough peak experiences doing what I need to do here in no gorilla land. Though we did have a 15-foot python in Garland a couple of weeks ago. Well, apparently he still lives there. He's just inside. He's not outside. Yeah. That shook my paradigm for a little bit about where I lived, knowing there was a 15-foot python a mile away. Yeah. But what are you going to do? What do you do? And I think it bears sitting and contemplating whether or not you have zones of comfort, whether or not you have boxes you've put yourself in, and you're the only one who's doing that. I don't believe God puts us in zones. If you're in a box, you've probably put yourself in there. Or someone opened the door and you walked in and you're sitting in the box still. Even if someone has opened the door of a box, you don't have to go in there. And if you go in, you don't have to stay. You can get out of the box. You can kick down the sides. You can punch through the roof. You can walk away and decide you're never going to be in another box again. You can decide that you don't need zones to make you comfortable. You can decide you don't need comfort because your comfort is God who is infinite. So where are you putting your focus? And what do you need to keep you safe? Do you need safety? Or is God your safety? Is God your safety? Is God your comfort? Is the infinite your comfort? Let's take this into meditation. Just let yourself be in that darkness behind your eyelids. And think of it not as just you sitting and having your eyes closed, but that darkness behind your eyelids is the vastness of the universe. Are you comfortable thinking about the vastness of the universe? And if everything that you had, all of your material possessions, if all the people in your life that define who and what you are, that you have allowed to define who and what you are, if they all went away, who would you be? Would you still be you? If you didn't have your current friendships, what would that mean? If your significant other passed away or left you, who would you be? Is who you are predicated on things or people outside of you? Are you free? Are you truly free? And what is that freedom based on? Do you need comfort above all other things? What stresses you out? Usually what stresses us out is based on fear. So what are you afraid of? Is it loneliness? Is it judgment? Is it pain? Is it grief? Are you afraid of love? Are you afraid of success? Are you afraid of your own thoughts? Are you afraid of your past? Your future? If you're living in fear, what does that say about your paradigm for life? What grounds you? What grounds you? And maybe more importantly, what allows you to be totally free? And content and joyous. What if you opened your arms wide? What if you spread your wings? What if you soared instead of walked? What if you pushed yourself beyond your self-imposed limits? What if you chose something different rather than the usual? What if you broke all your patterns? What if you punched through your glass ceilings? And what do you truly trust with everything? How much can you risk and still be okay? What are you willing to try to set yourself free and still know that all is well and all is good? Who is your God? Do you believe in a love that never fails? Do you believe in a God that never fails? Do you believe in a God that never fails? Be still and know that I am God. Are you still long enough on a daily basis to know and trust that God? Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Seek first the kingdom, and all things will be added unto you. Seek first. Seek first the kingdom. The kingdom of God is within you. Seek first the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God is within you. Be still and know that I am God. Let's take a deep breath together. Breathe in. Exhale. Let Let yourself be comfortable. Let yourself be in the vastness, the infinity that is God. Let yourself be there. Know it, experience it, let it be with you. Let yourself be with it. Let yourself be it. Let yourself be it. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen.